Well, good morning, traders. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. My name is Thomas Ryan. We publish a daily newsletter, 200 trading days a year of suggested trade ideas. Come on, join us for a 30-day free trial if you like. Going to walk through a couple of examples of some trades today that some folks have asked me about that we are in currently, live trades that came out in our letter that we're in. People want to know, what's the decision process of how we get into those trades. First thing is we're going to keep an eye on the market in general, as we have pointed out in the last couple of days. The Trump trade is ending. This has gone all the way up here, and now it's stalling out. Volume has declined. It's in a little bit of the MACD divergence right here. It's in a long-term MACD divergence over here. This market should be going down, but a lot of people have been betting on that, and it's not working. So, I'm not going to fight the market. We jumped on this Trump trade. We had some very nice moves, and we're going to walk through some of the ones that are still live right now. First one is TWX Time Warner. We got into that right here at 87.02. The reason we got into this stock is it's in a solid uptrend. Oversold in a solid uptrend. Buy the dip. Very simple. And why is it a good one? Why is this a better one than any others that are out there? Well, first of all, it was oversold on the 14-period stochastic right down here. It has a solid trend line that's moving up both in the trading time frame and in the next higher time frame weekly. It's supported by a MACD that is also positive and moving up. So, and then finally, the entry point looks good because the volume had finally declined. I think this was earnings, or maybe this was the merger announcement that was going on here. I think it was with Verizon. And so the thing jumped, and now it's had a little bit of a sell-off from that jump, and now it's going to resume its climb. Positive sentiment on Time Warner. So we go ahead and get in when on an oversell position right here up against some moving averages. The trend is liable to continue because it has a strong supporting MACD, and sure enough, it did. We're still in the trade. We've closed 3 profit levels, 1R, 2R, and 3R. We're now in a trail stop on the stock as of today. So that's Time Warner. ALR is the next one. We got in right down here. We got in ALR at 35.24, which I think was right over this high. We always enter over on a new high. Just one more way to ensure that hopefully you're moving in the right direction, that you don't get stopped out. Doesn't always work, but it helps. So the reason we're in this trade is this is a counter trade. This is not a trend trade. Time Warner is a trend trade. This is a counter trend trade. And the reason we're doing it is a massive, massive, sharp sell-off. Big bar down, trail, and the volume starts to decline as the trail ends. Bars narrow, volume declines. Why pick this one over something else? Well, again, the distance between here and these moving averages is the moving averages are very much like a magnet sometimes. They want to pull this stock back up into something that is a more average price for the stock. So we like that. We like the declining volume, and we like the fact that it appears to be maybe a little bit of a MACD divergence in the higher time frame. So we've seen some bouncing going on right here, maybe right here, and we see the MACD is doing this. So even though you put in some new lows, the MACD is still starting to go up like that, and chances are we'll get a bounce on that. And so that's why we did it. It's working just fine. 1R, 2R, 3R, and we're in a trail stop on this now. So we're up about over 10% on this stock in what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 5 or 6 days. That's what we're shooting for, is that kind of movement. And, obviously it doesn't always happen. Here's an example of one where it's not happening yet. Tap. Molson Coors. Now, I think maybe this is a trend trade. So here's the trend. It's oversold on that trend. Should we buy it? Well, it's crossing below its 200-day moving average. Very often below a 200-day moving average is a signal. Got to buy that because that's just too low. Problem is, I think on this one is that it hadn't had enough time to settle out. It's just sitting here congesting. And the MACD is not really that strong. Yeah, that's higher than that, but this is kind of flatlined right here. So, did we make a mistake on this one? We'll see. We're still in it. The stop is right down here, so we're not stopped out yet, but it hasn't started moving. So we'll see. We'll stay in it, and hopefully, same thing though. Many long decline, dropping volume, narrowing bars, good solid uptrend. The only thing it's missing here is it's probably a little too close to these moving averages. Probably should have looked for something that was had a more steeper decline. But I think my thought process in this one at the time was this is an undeniably strong trend. See how tight these bars are together, how strong it is. This is a very, very strong stock. The higher time frame on Molson Coors, very strong. So something may have to, hopefully this is going to change. We'll get a bounce in here, and we may dump out of the stock if at break even if we get a chance, if it's just not moving powerfully enough. Good stocks that are doing what you want them to do should be moving fairly quickly after you make your trade. If they're not, there is a chance something's broken in there. You want to be very skeptical about that. International flavors and fragrances, another new one that we just got into, and this is very similar. This is a trend trade as well. We're buying this trend. It's very oversold, but you could certainly argue, you know what, the trend is broken. There's no trend trade here. I should not have done this because it's broken trend. I would argue that I don't think it's broken trend, and it's so severely sold off that it should have, and it's had such a strong trend, it should probably have stuck with it. It's below the 200-day moving average. We should hope to maybe get a bounce back up in here, but it's possible. Nobody's perfect here, but the stock is simply too far gone, and it's going to now enter into a longer-term decline. That's some examples of some of the trades that we're in. This is why we're in what we're